LEC, it is time for Misfits versus Vitality. First up, though, we're going to wrap up Mad Lions as Niski once again won the Kia Player of the Game. Guldborg, if you are a player stepping into a roster and you have high expectations on you, I cannot fathom a better start to the split.
I mean, it's Niski as well, so he's pretty much used to high expectations from where he's coming from, both with Cloud9, even when he was back here with Splice. And, you know, we've heard it for so many players, even Fevin as well, even Caedrel as well. The guy's just been grinding, he's been streaming, he's been working hard in the offseason.
Excuse me, though, this flank, together with Unforgiven, the fact that you've got to actually make this flank work together with your AD carry, two squishes flanking an entire team, sandwiching them. I think it takes a lot for someone to make this call and take someone else with them. And I feel like this is exactly what Mark was saying as well. The guy demands, gets, and shows results.
Yeah, and you were calling out specifically kind of what is the evolution of the bot lane going to be. And it's nice to see that Unforgiving is teaming up with the new mid laner to make the plays happen. Awesome to see. Another win on the board for Mad. Now two teams who have not been able to win a game yet here in summer. Misfits versus Vitality. Unfortunate starts, I would say, to their season yesterday. Let's start with the Misfits. And the story for Misfits for spring was all about Vetheo, and then can the other factors also get activated? Yesterday versus Excel, they got blown out of the water, Georgia.
I think it was a particular 2 versus 2, exactly that one on our screens right now, that completely, I feel like, ended the early game for Misfits. And then my only issue right here is that we've seen this from Misfits over and over again, right? And we're like, at some point, Vetheo is going to come online and he's going to change so many things. But right now, he's stuck on a maid like Orianna. The most you can do is get a 3 to 4 man shockwave, right? But even when you're 2k behind, that shockwave is just going to tickle.
And I think that's one take, right? But it also depends on what the kind of game plan is, because they never got to a stage where even a 3 or 4 man shockwave would have mattered. For me specifically, I never saw this game yesterday as what we can expect of Misfits, but they never got to play the game. They ended up playing so reactive, which resulted in them playing into Excel's plays all the time because they were so far ahead, and there's just no way for Misfits to get leeway back into the game.
Is he hamstrung a little bit by the meta? Because we do know that a lot of the control mages are in vogue, but we did also see an Akali yesterday, so what's going on there?
Okay, here's the thing. Here's my analogy on it, at least. It depends on what Misfits wants to do with their roster.
Okay.
Do you want a team that has to rely on on Vetheo to 1v9 all the time? Or do you want to create an atmosphere where you need to be able to play control mages too and for the rest of the team to show up? If we have traditional sport and you have a golfer who's got a bad form, you can only reach so high. Sometimes you need to go back to the foundations. You'll suck a little bit because you need to build up the fundamentals again. And then hopefully you can achieve the highest ceiling that you only could when, for example, you were playing Akali. Maybe. That's just one of the theories, right?
I like that perspective.
I feel like we've always been wondering what is the identity behind the Misfits roster. It cannot always be the Vetheo show. You cannot always rely on one person to make the places suddenly pop off. And I feel like now with the change in the top lane, you mentioned it as well, Guldborg, there's control mages coming in, which is not necessarily what Vetheo wants to play because he wants to pop off. But sometimes you have to go all the way back and be like, cool, guys, we have this guy who's insanely talented in the mid lane, but we need to find an identity for ourselves and a style that works. And I think this is also the case for Vitality too.
Yeah, well, with the meta now and the possibilities in the bot lane, I'm looking at Neon and Mersa as well, right? 100%. They have shown glimpses of great things. Maybe it's time to invest a bit more down there. But for Team Vitality, before we get into it, Laure caught up with their assistant coach, Hjarnan. Take it away, Laure.
Thank you, Sjokz and Hjarnan. Thank you so much for joining me. It's nice to see you again in the studio as you joined Vitality by playoffs in spring, I believe. Talk me through your role within the team and the role you have in the coaching staff.
So pretty much what I've been doing since I joined the playoffs in the start was just helping out mainly the bot side of the map when I joined the playoffs. But now it's more of like, when I'm here from the start now, helping with pretty much everything we're doing, day-to-day in scrims. It can be like, what are the problems we have in game, and I talk to the players and we try to solve them, right?
I think it's a really good point, because when we talked about the bot lane for Vitality, we identified that they were going through some difficulties, let's say, in spring. What did you identify for them, and how are you helping them get better?
I mean, the main problem I saw was just we didn't play a lot for them as well, and they weren't too demanding as well, I think, to call for resources as well, dives and stuff like that. So that's what we're working on right now, to make them more demanding of what they need to get ahead. and also make them the best bot lane they can be, right, as well.
Exactly.
So that's what we're working for right now, yeah.
Giving them more attention. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that you also were responsible for the changes during the off-season. We know why Selfmade was put aside for the team, but I want to know, why did you pick Haru? Why did you identify he was going to be the difference maker for the team, joining in the jungle?
I mean, for me, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be, because I was always supposed to only be there for playoffs, right? And then they asked me if I wanted to stay and like sign a contract, so I was not there for like the decision making of like who would not stay in the team and who we will take as well. But I'm really happy with Haru so far. He's playing amazingly in scrims, and it's like really, he's untiltable, I would say. Like he never tilts, and it's like really like a pleasure to work with as well. So it's a really good addition to our team for sure.
Mentality of a world champion, I believe
sure.
also. Can you tell me a bit more about the synergy he has with the top lane and the mid lane, because we know this is important aspect of the game?
I mean, we didn't play for, I think it's like 3 weeks now in scrims, so the synergy is not insane yet. But I think his synergy is for sure better with mid lane and top lane right now. And I mean, maybe in 2-3 weeks, maybe he's gonna have insane synergy with top lane as well, right? We don't know yet, but we're working on it as well to make everybody like get used to each other and stuff like that, right?
Well, looking forward to this improved version of Vitality. Thank you so much,
Thank you very
Hjarnan,
much.
for the interview.
Thank you.
And back to you, Sjokz.
Thank you so much. What a lovely fist bump there as well. Lovely to hear from Hjarnan. Just to pick up on what he said immediately. Of course, when you are a super team like Vitality and it's not working out the way you want, someone that brings so much positivity from the start to a split, not only, I think, in the team environment, but as we've heard also on the Rift from your experience in NLC is a great point.
So absolutely, we both of us followed Haru on the NLC, and we only have positives to say. We had Finn on the NLC week 1, and he said, you know, when I was over in Korea, whenever I've played against Haru, this guy is like one of the most insane junglers I've ever played against, you know, even as an opponent. And then on the other side, we've talked to Carzzy, who played next to Haru for an entire season. And he's like, this guy is just so positive. He never tilts. He'll always come up with a new game plan. It's just a joy to play with. And I feel like Vitality needed probably some leadership, someone to calm them down, someone to keep them together. And I think Haru could just be that.
I'm not going to speculate about the whole atmosphere because obviously I'm not there, but what I can speculate about is the gameplay. And a lot of the Haru stuff we see there from the NLC is applied to what we saw yesterday's games. The early game, not too much going on in terms of influencing the lanes. It's more like the lanes have 3 power lanes. They play towards Haru. He gets a lead. And pretty much throughout the whole game, they have a lead as well. So I think actually Vitality has already done something great, and that's fixed their early game. Now, all of a sudden, they need to be more proactive in the mid game so they can solidify these leads and turn them into game wins.
Yeah, let's talk about the, let's say, opportunities there, because yesterday, even though they put up a fight in the early game, they slowly but surely lost that mid game versus Mad. When you have such experienced players on the roster, that's not necessarily something you'd like to see.
Yeah, I felt like also that the draft was a little bit difficult to play mid to late game, right? Especially when Mad scales so hard. But I felt like there were some Vitality members overextending a little bit, and once you lose one of the 5 core members, it's just so difficult to play those fights. I like again with Guldborg. I think the fact that they fixed the early game is something to look up to, but that mid to late seems a little bit uncohesive still.
I think either way, it's one game sample size, so even the early games could be completely disastrous or good again coming into today's games. But I think once again, what we're looking for with Vitality is definitely, this is still a team we had higher expectations to, right? Stuff like macro between Perkz, Alphari, and even Haru now should be in the books, right? So for sure, we would like to see more from this.
Is this a repeat of the spring split points that we brought up about what we'd like to say? Like,
I mean, if you keep having the same issues, I'm of course going to be bringing the same analytical points as well. But I think for sure, like, maybe there's more leeway for it now with a better atmosphere, at least with the untiltable guy coming in from Haru and to build around that. But for sure, I think Haru as a player is not going to fix the playmaking issues that they had as a roster, because that lies even deeper.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think that's where you can look at the positive in terms of, oh, well, the early game looked a lot better. That's what you want. And then, of course, mid-game calling is one of the hardest thing there is, especially versus a team like the Mad Lions.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, even with the team fighting as well, because then if you just, it's really only one player that has to be out of sync with the rest of the team. If he all of a sudden is just done clearing wards while the other guys are setting up a different lane, but Mad Lions are ready to team fight, you're just going to be caught off guard.
Exactly. So some things to work on for Vitality, and Misfits still chasing that first win this week. Let's head over to Medic and Caedrel.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. I'm Medic. This is Caedrel over here. And unfortunately, Vetheo was meant to join us today. He's a little bit unwell at home, so we have a Vetheo replacement service.
The tennis ball.
Hey guys, Vetheo here. Buff Nocturne. Can't wait to cast with my favorite casters. Thanks.
You didn't get the I'm Welsh. You need the I'm Welsh in there somewhere.
I'm Welsh.
Yeah, there we are.
I wear Welsh
That's
socks.
Vetheo. That's the Vetheo experience. I hope all of you enjoyed that. It is just going to be Medicady for the rest of the day. Looking forward
Get well
to it.
soon, Vetheo.
Obviously, get well soon, Vetheo, but hopefully he will recover very quickly. Now, Misfits versus Vitality are the two teams we have up against each other today. Both of them without a win on day one. Misfits a little bit more convincingly defeated than Vitality were. Vitality did have that good early game against Mad Lions, but then faltered when it came to the mid-game into team fights.
Yeah, it looked like Vitality had a good baseline to work with in that first game. They had good macro in the early stages. They got themselves like a 1.5, 1.6k gold lead. I was talking to Perkz a bit after the game, and he was like, yeah, with the comp we had, we should have had a 4,000 gold lead minimum. But yeah, going into fights, they just fell apart. Mad Lions took over. Misfits never really got into the game against XL whatsoever. They didn't get a single kill, I believe. So need to see a lot more from them. Two teams who struggled in day one need to show us a lot more in day two.
And it was a worry for Misfits coming into summer. We'll see how they're able to correct things coming into day two of the split. Drafting time.
Ooh, put your thinking caps on.
Do you have a thinking cap? I don't really understand the premise.
Dustin does in Stranger Things. He always wears a cap that says thinking cap on it.
That's true. And that is a good joke.
Thank you. Is Vetheo not popping out any good jokes yesterday?
Sometimes he gets a few good ones.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
I'm
But
looking forward to the Medicaid.
I'm 1-0 right now on the
Yeah,
jokes.
one-
Okay, nice. We'll keep track of that.
I do want to talk a little bit about drafts, because something we've seen in other regions that we haven't seen so much in Europe is Taliyah priority. Like, Taliyah seems very strong. On 12-11, obviously, she was changed a little bit, but I'm surprised, actually, that we haven't seen her picked or banned over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I was watching LPL this morning. Of course, they're on 12-10, and I think it was Knight was playing Taliyah. He had an incredible game today. Looked quite strong in the eastern regions. We'll see if Europe wants to pick it up. I initially thought it was going to be more so of a jungler, but we're seeing it way more in mid because it scales quite well. Once you hit level 9, that's your breaking point on Taliyah. When you got 5 points in Q, you can push the wave in really quickly and you can roam to sides pretty easily. So that's kind of how the Taliyah playstyle is. We'll see if it gets picked up this time. In today's games. Kalista taken away, GP, Wukong looking kind of bot lane bans right now.
Yeah, lots of AD carries being banned. That's kind of the flavor of the month, the flavor of the patch at least. Kalista, Lucian, sometimes we see the Zeri removed as well, or even the Yuumi to get rid of the possibility of Zeri and Twitch in that bottom lane. With the Gangplank taken away from Alphari, and as you say, the Wukong Lucian by Team Vitality, nothing too surprising as of yet, Caedrel.
Not just yet. Thinking of Senna and Ezreal right now. I mean, actually, Ezreal we haven't seen too much in Europe either. Another pick that was picked a lot in the eastern regions. Gumayushi stands out to mind, who was playing Ezreal as well. So we'll see if teams opt into it. Normally when the Yuumi gets picked up, it's more so leaning towards Zeri. We've seen Twitches. We'll see if Yuumi gets banned away. We saw it banned away a couple times on blue side. Misfits, I think Mersa has played Yuumi in spring as well, so that wouldn't surprise me if they just pick that up. Neon would probably be very happy picking Zeri here, so with that Lee Sin ban coming out, it shows Vitality don't care about the Yuumi. They probably want Viego on 1-2. We'll see if Misfits respond with a Viego of themselves.
The Lee Sin ban has only been against Shlatan so far in this week of LEC. There's the Senna immediately locked in, so Zeri, Yuumi a possibility, obviously Twitch, Yuumi as well. Gives Senna a little bit of an easier laning phase, which is somewhere she can be susceptible to some damage, to some pressure. And it looks like Vitality are just going to go for the Yuumi immediately.
The boos are coming out from the crowd.
Trust me, I'm on that page, okay, guys? I hate the cat as much as you guys do.
Yuumi enjoyers, Vitality. I thought they were going to go Yuumi Viego there because it just gives you an extra kind of champion to play for. Viego's so powerful with the Yuumi, but going to go for the early game jungler there, the Volibear Haru. We'll see what Misfits responds with. Again, we were talking about this yesterday. AD junglers seem pretty hard to find once you lose out on Wukong, Lee Sin, Viego. I think Vetheo will be Shlatan will be very happy picking up Viego himself. There's Senna, Tahm, Kench. I'm just excited to see what Vitality play in the AD carry role. I want to see another Twitch.
I think Twitch could definitely work for Carzzy down towards this bottom side. Zeri's still an option as well. There's the Viego you were talking about. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Perkz says, look, Yuumi LeBlanc is incredibly strong. Perkz' career win rate on LeBlanc is like 70% or something, if I remember the number correctly. So picking something like LeBlanc here, although it does mean you have AP jungle and AP mid, or mostly AP damage from the Volibear, I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you know what else I think's really broken in Europe?
What?
Ornn.
Ornn is broken, but do you want to pick it as your final pick in phase 1?
Vitality say no. Obviously, they were drafting against Mad Lions yesterday. Vitality was on the blue side, and Vitality banned Aatrox in the 4-5, with already Kayle and GP being down. And then Mad Lions took Ornn on 4 away from them, which I think that's what they wanted. We'll see if they do the same kind of thing here by picking Ornn on 4 and saving counter pick for Perkz. But there's Ezreal, Yuumi, pretty standard stuff. I think bot lane will be more so of a farm fest and a heavy trade fest. But you've got an early game jungler in Volibear, which can spice things up. We'll have to keep our eyes on it.
Let's see where Haru does decide to go. Yesterday, he didn't have too many ganks in the early game. Did put some pressure up towards the top side and mid, and had one gank down towards the bottom side. But on Volibear, obviously, a lot more proactive, a lot more active in that early game. Vitality banning away the Sylas here. Don't want the ability for Vetheo to steal away any of these ultimates.
Yeah, our spring MVP, he had that famous E prediction on the Ezreal dashing away. I think it was an Ezreal Yuumi that he was actually killing both of them in that kind of montage real play. Sylas ban to me just signals Twisted Fate alert in my head. Maybe that's something that Perkz wants to prioritize on 4. Ahri taken away as well, so mid lane being targeted by both sides.
I mean, even Azir, considering how the Azir into Sylas matchup went for Perkz yesterday against Niski. Niski had a very strong performance in that matchup. There's the Ahri taken away by Misfits. Don't want Perkz to have that little bit of extra mobility out of the mid lane.
And I think that's the important thing, and a great point you bring up in terms of those matchups, because Sylas into Azir gets pushed in, you know, you get poked out, it's quite difficult. But if you have an even CS number at 7 or 8 minutes, and you have TP advantage, which is what Niski had, that's winning. Even though it's even, that's winning because it's a losing lane from the get-go. There's a Kayle ban coming out. I still feel like Ornn on 4 might happen here.
It's Ornn into mid lane counter pick, isn't it?
Yeah, that might be the plan here for Vitality. Misfits, I mean, Irrelevant will probably pick something like Gnar into it, but do you want to go that route? Camille taken away. So yeah, I think counter pick for mid is probably what Vitality will look for.
Any horns in the game? Calling it the Forge God. Ring, ring. Anyone answering?
It does sound disgusting, though, isn't it? Ezreal, Yuumi, Ornn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a composition I would want to play against, but that is grotesque right now. The range, the team fight threat, and then you add a consistent DPS mid laner. I mean, Azir actually works really well in this situation as well, depending on what mid lane you're playing into. Vitality have a very strong 5v5.
Yeah, I mean, normally we see things like Gnar picked into Ornn. Sejuani was what Vitality answered Mad Lions with yesterday into the Ornn. Camille taken away, Kayle, GP, these were the exact same bans. Similar bans, I would say, yesterday as well when the Ornn was picked. I think something like Aatrox could work, but if Misfits had the Yuumi first pick, Aatrox would be fantastic into Ornn because Aatrox Yuumi is so deadly. Now the question is, what does Vetheo blind mid here? Azir, Orianna, some control mage, does that really round out the comp well enough to make it so you have an advantage in the late game? Because I think that's where Vitality want to take it.
Viktor obviously does scale very well into that late game, gives you great zone control as well with the Chaos Storm.
Oh my god!
It is Corki!
Oh, Vitality really want to win, don't they? Corki, Ezreal, Yuumi, Ornn.
They don't usually win, so I can't blame them for trying to Caedrel.
May as well. I mean, last time they played a Super Week in week 1, they went 0-3. So
1-6 over the 7 games they played in Super Week.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really have to tell you what Vitality's comp does. I will say they do have a lot of magic damage, though. Ornn, Volibear, Yuumi, Corki, Ezreal also has magic damage as well in his kit. So their damage share going into the late game, as good as their champions are, it doesn't feel very safe, very balanced. Misfits can itemize against it pretty easily. You know, Viego going more Force of Natures across the board, Banshees on Vetheo. So their late game is hindered by that a little bit, but that's where it's going. Whereas Misfits, you know, I think they're going in the same direction. Team fight and late game and scaling.
We could be in for a little bit of a long one. I'm going to put that out there here. Lots of scaling on either side. Obviously,
get your cuppas.
Everyone, like, if you want to go boil the kettle, get a cup of tea right now. We wouldn't bemoan you that.
No.
You can go and have a little break as we get ready to get on into the game. But there is some early game proactivity. Something that we didn't see yesterday with the Sejuani into the Ornn top is the threat that a melee jungler alongside a Sejuani can give.
Yeah.
Because you proc that passive from Sejuani really quickly, you can get a lot of damage down onto the Ornn, and you can force him out of the lane.
Yeah, it was Sinzao Sejuani we saw yesterday. Incredibly strong 2v2, but we're ready to get into game. Misfits versus Vitality. So, Medic,
yes.
Do you think maybe today could be opposite day? Because I would love it to be opposite day.
Okay, but the thing is, if I say yes, it is opposite day, does that mean no, it's not opposite day? Because if it's one of these, yeah, I've blown your mind.
The conversation has ended. Okay, well, the point I wanted to get to was, we don't expect anything to happen. Nothing probably will happen in the early game. But what if it does? Oh, what if it does? How exciting could that be? You have a scaling comp with a lot of early game action.
I mean, that's something that we often look at with scaling is, yes, you can scale, but that doesn't mean you have to be inactive in the early game. You can still do things in the early game instead of just being passive and saying, when we get to 3 items, we're strong.
Yeah.
Especially when both teams scale.
Well, we are scaling now. We got a pause. You know what I was thinking of?
Great time to go boil that kettle.
Well, yeah, put that kettle on. Yeah. You know what I was thinking? Every time you said the word scale like 4 times, and I was just thinking of crocodiles.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's not a Renekton meta.
No. Well, you say thankfully,
actually, maybe
but
Renekton
it would mean that there's a lot of early game dives.
That's true. Yeah, maybe Renekton would be better.
You get some Nidalee, some Renekton, some early game dives.
We also need to think of some synonyms for scale. Because we do use it a lot, as you say.
What's a synonym for scale?
So, like, increase in power, but that's like a phrase.
Oh, I thought you meant the crocodile scales. It's like, it just exists. It's like a house.
I mean, there probably is a zoological synonym for scale.
Maybe there is, but
I definitely don't know
what it is. No, yeah, the ramp-up time.
Ramp-up, yeah. I like ramp-up, yeah.
Also, something that just come to mind, Volibear. We've been seeing a lot of 1-2 of Volibear in the early game. And of course, his ultimate disables towers.
That's
so,
true.
it doesn't matter what you've done to the towers if they're not there.
Exactly.
So I think that's the logic in European teams. I've seen some Volibear dives happen, may as well, just full send.
I also know some of the dev team watches us when we cast LEC. Not us specifically, just generally the product. Wrecker. This is the meta to bring it back. Make it a support item.
It was a fun item. It never really found its way to, like, every single time you saw it, you're trolling if you build Wrecker. There was never a patch where it was like, oh, okay.
So I think we say, you make it a support item, you make it like 1,000 gold, and on a 2-minute cooldown, it disables 1 tower shot. Because then it incentivizes diving, but you still have to play it well.
The future of League of Legends. Basically sounds like a stopwatch, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. But this one increases damage. It doesn't stop. It stops damage for the tower.
It's a stopwatch, medic.
It's not a stopwatch. No, I don't want to have invented a stopwatch, Caedrel.
It just means the tower is golden instead of the champion.
Towers with items now. You can buy an Infinity Edge and put it on your tower.
You can buy items for your towers. It's like Bloons tower defense.
Yeah, you love that game.
You get like the super monkey on the back from the tower. This cast needs to be reeled back in.
So we're a minute and a half into the game, and so far we've gone through Bloons, we've gone through scale synonyms, and we've looked a little bit at how these comps will fight into each other. As we've said, early game, we don't expect too much action. Bot lane, Neon will just be looking to get as many center stacks as possible. Obviously a little harder when the Yuumi's on top of the Ezreal, because you only have 1 target to try and get those stacks from. Both junglers starting on the top side of the map leashless. Shlatan will have been spotted on this ward.
He will indeed. We'll see what Haru does. I mean, Volibear just wants to get to level 3 as quickly as possible. He's going to go red Krugs into Raptors, you have to imagine. Then he could look for some kind of action towards mid-bot side. Otherwise, I think both junglers pretty happy to just full clear. Their lanes are quite stable, and you have to think of setup when you go for lanes, right? Ganking a Corki lane, what can he offer? Especially level 2 when he's not even got his Valkyrie. Maybe an auto attack, maybe a couple of auto attacks at best. So that would basically have to be a solo kill from that point onwards. But there is a little bit of trading going on in mid. The Viktor always wants to step up and get the Q auto attack to get the first strike proc. So I think Haru has a window here where he could do Raptors and then gank mid from top side. Maybe get a flash out of Vetheo to reduce a little bit of pressure in this lane, because in spring, I think it was Xiaohu and Gory playing in the LPL, where he got solo killed in this matchup, level 4, level 5, Viktor, Corki. It is quite tough for Corki in the early stages, but once he TP's back, he should be fine.
You can see he's gone for the Doran's shield here as well, knowing he's going to take a bit of extra harass from those lasers, from those death rays, and of course, from the Siphon power. The shield that the Viktor gets back means that he can trade a little bit more aggressively. Perkz actually has the push right now with this cannon minion going in. Vetheo is going to try and answer that by clearing the cannon minion. Now the lane will push back towards Perkz in a second. Both junglers, though, work their way down towards the bottom side. Curse of the Black Mist is going to hit that onto Labrov, or sorry, Last Embrace. And Carzzy and Labrov will just spend some time underneath their tower for the next couple of minutes. Shlatan using the fact he has prio down towards that bottom side to try and get in here. Could have jumped forward and smote away. Smited? Smote? Smitten?
I don't know. You know,
so
we had this conversation
to be in love with. It actually comes from a different root than smite.
That doesn't surprise me. It sounds like some kind of English poem literature.
I'm smitten
Shakespearean. Shakespearean,
sort of
yeah. But Shlatan got the bot crab. He's going to go towards the top side and get top crab, double crab for...
Okay.
The Viego is lovely, and he warded the entrance there. So just a quick small thing to note here. What you can do, of course, is even though they have the crab, the jungle can run down a route towards bot lane by hugging this wall, and you don't get spotted. So smartly there, Shlatan took the crab and put a ward on the entrance just to make sure Haru couldn't find a way into bot. Nice guess by Perkz there to cancel Vetheo's base.
Well, Valkyrie's away. He should be fine to escape. And as you say, yeah, it's just one of those positions where you can back. He was only looking to stop the recall, maybe get himself an advantageous back. He has the teleport, of course, and Vetheo does not, so it makes it a little bit easier for Perkz to control that lane as he TPs back in. A bit of voyage forward here by Mersa. Carzzy ignited, but jumps away, and the tongue lash only hits onto Labrov, who then dashes back onto Carzzy. So ignite down there for Mersa, nothing burnt by the Vitality bottom lane. I will say, Ezreal going for the teleport, something we have seen, obviously, in the past, and a little bit around the world is the teleport AD carries, especially when you know it's just going to be a farm fest down towards that bottom lane. Making sure you can be that little bit quicker back onto the map helps you out a ton.
And I feel like a reasoning as to why you take TP on Ezreal is because the Tahm Kench normally takes teleport as well, because the lane can be a bit annoying in the early stages. You get poked out, you TP back because you're the one last hitting. You can see here already Mersa down almost 10 CS on this wave when it's pushing, I think, pretty evenly right now. Mersa here would ideally be able to base, TP back in, get a couple cloth armors, a refillable, and then will be pretty dandy throughout the rest of the lane when Senna has more points in her queue as well. But in this case, ignite down. Carzzy has a free base whenever he wants it, so I expect Vitality, when they do decide to take that base, they can get bot push when they want, but just back and forth trading on both mid and bots right now.
Back and forth trading around the map. Irrelevant struggling a little bit into Alphari on this Ornn. Alphari, 8 games all time on Ornn. What do you think his win rate is, Caedrel?
8 games all time?
Yeah.
Ornn? 2-6.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
It's 4-4.
I get spaghetti?
Yes. I'll get some spaghetti to chuck in you later.
I might make pasta tonight.
50% win rate all time for Alphari. He's not really known for tanks. He's much more of an aggressive top laner, much more known as a guy that will win and advance his lane, although does sometimes struggle to have an impact as the game goes on.
Right now doing fantastically in lane though so far. Has 15 CS lead with the wave pretty even state. Both top laners use their TP. This is the point in the game where Carzzy could base and TP back, but the wave is under tower. What's the point, right? You have to imagine, what is my job if I were to TP back in bot lane right now as Carzzy? Well, I could run up to the lane, Q1 creep, and that's about it. Maybe look for a ward. Right now, not really worth it to use. So he's just going to run back with his support by his side. Shlatan going to catch the wave and will get spotted out. And this is the disadvantage of not having TP on the Tahm Kench. You're already down quite a handful of CS, and the wave will come back into them. So a lot of scaling going on. I expect maybe the first point of contention is the Drake. Vitality can set up for that when Haru's taking this top grab. But we'll have to keep our eyes on that. I mean, Perkz, of course, can get the package at 10 minutes, and then they can look to fight something. Herald's at 8 minutes. Objectives can be contested, but it's one of those things where you can say to yourself, well, I don't really want to fight it. We scale really well. We can wait for our spikes and then fight the next one.
You can see Labrov just dancing around here, getting some damage onto Vetheo as Perkz dashes forward with the Valkyrie. Good couple of missiles there from the missile barrage. Forces Vetheo down. Haru's going to be able to secure himself the top side scuttle crab, and Labrov will make the long journey back down towards the bottom lane. No boots, of course, for the cat. Makes it a little bit trickier for her to get there. And Haru using the prio that he's got in the mid lane and alongside Alphari to try and invade here. Shlatan will have that blue buff reset. Irrelevant. Forced back underneath his tower by Alphari, just acting as a bit of a bouncer. For the moment, really looks like it's only going to be a blue buff steal from Vitality here. Shlatan and Vetheo are closing first, though. Perkz on his way. Irrelevant going in as well. Glacial Tomb a possibility. Haru flashes from the Spectral Maw, but now Viteo's not in the best of spots. He's going to have to flash as well. Call of the Forge God goes down and passes as well. Perkz dives across the wall. Shlatan will fall. 2 quick kills to Vitality.
Yeah, fantastic play there. Just trying to force some kind of early pressure. Vitality have kind of winning lanes across the board. Perkz had the push and was healthier than Vetheo after that gank where Labrov joined him. Alphari's been having top pressure the whole game long, and we talked about the only real early game we could see is out of the Volibear. Haru, a little bit of respect with the flash initially, trying to avoid the 2v2 because he knows his mid laner's collapsing as well, but Vetheo will be first, so just going to respect it, back off, dodge away from any of the CC chain that could hit him, and now Vetheo is just kind of sandwiched. Flash it to the side, but then the knockup comes through.
And very difficult for Vetheo to get out of that position. If he goes the long way around towards his blue buff, then he's not there quickly enough to react to the play. If he goes the short way, you saw he had to flash the wall, but was still stunned, and the follow-up from Perkz across the wall is sublime. Vetheo now started by Vitality. They have 1,400 gold lead, and it's all their ducks in a row through this early game.
All their
ducks in a row.
All their ducks in a row?
Yeah, it just means like things are lining up properly.
Oh, well. And maybe a duck climbed into the server because a pause has come through again.
Flacked backstage somewhere.
Agent Flacked. With his sunglasses on. Yeah, no. Great early game lead here for Vitality. All going in their favor.
And they did have an early game lead like this yesterday. Not quite as proactive yesterday in their game, but about 14 minutes, 1,300 gold ahead, and they weren't really able to translate that into team fight advantage.
Yeah, Misfits still yet to get a kill as well. Obviously, last game, yesterday, I think it was 15-0, the scoreline. Still yet to get a kill here in day 2. We'll see what they can achieve with it. I mean, it's a very difficult game state now because your mid jungler are losing so hard. You've already lost Herald, and now the enemy Corki will pick up a package and should be able to contest Drake. So they're going to have to find something soon, and we're already back into the game. So short pause, quickly back in. Of course, just to recap, like I said, Haru just picked up Herald, taking away Shlatan's top camps, and Shlatan is starting up the Drake on the opposite side. Of course, when the Herald dies, he knows that Haru's top side.
I wonder whether they'll decide to put this out. Of course, you can invest it into Perkz, trying to get some damage onto that mid lane tower. Also, top lane for Alphari. He's going to have a bit of free time with this turret, and assume he is running Demolish on this Ornn, as he's in that Resolve tree. Would make sense for him to try and get some extra damage down there. But still, Vitality just playing safe in the lanes that they know they're weak in. Carzzy and Labrov backing away. Mersa and Neon able to step forward, but really not getting too much out of this. And Neon will be about 20 stacks into the game right now. Nothing too consequential to talk about for the Senna. Really, you're looking at 60, 80, 100 before you have that sort of long-range cannon, that long-range artillery that the Senna can become.
Yeah, almost like infinite scaling, really, isn't it? But
well, it is infinite scaling.
Exactly. But Vitality have a lot of scaling of their own, and they're already kind of really accelerated. I mean, look at bot lane. Carzzy, after catching this wave, he could TP back. He's already going to be up around 20 CS once he catches this wave and TP's back. Mersa struggling. Even though they have the push, they aren't getting much creeps, right? You can see it in the gold. Mid's just winning in isolation now since the 2v2. Top's been winning in isolation, and I feel like this is kind of the story we saw from Vitality a little bit in spring, where Alphari had some of the best laning stats, and he's always going to be winning his lane. Perkz definitely was shaky in the first couple of weeks, but his lane got a lot more stable later on in the split. But there was never really anything transitioned after it. The early game was either volatile or it was stable, and then when it got to the mid game, they just kind of fell apart. We saw that a little bit yesterday as well, and now it's just a question of Vitality. Can you close a game out properly? Obviously, the game's not completely over for Misfits just yet, but they might look for a dive here. Here's the disable on the tower.
Turn off the tower. Final chapter coming in, and it's the last page of the eulogy for Vetheo in the mid lane.
Yeah, just kind of shakes his head there a bit, Vetheo. There's nothing really he can do. He has no flash. The tower's disabled. And he's stunned. 3 members are there. Labrov just coming straight to mid. I mean, the thing is, with the Ezreal lane into Senna, Tahm, Kench, you don't really need to stay bot as Yuumi. I mean, the Ezreal can farm safely on the tower, which allows you to move towards other lanes. That's the second time Labrov's visited mid, and it's really annoying as a mid laner when your lane is even, you're both low on HP, you both have no potions left, and then the enemy support comes and chunks you out and you lose half your HP again. And then you're just so far down on the back foot, you can never really find a good base, your tempo's basically screwed, and you just have to force something to find your way back in.
And although Neon and Shlatan were able to catch some of this wave, Vetheo losing out substantially here. About 1,500 gold behind. Perkz in such a strong position, already building up towards that Manamune, it seems, on the Corki. Neon's going to try and put some pressure down. Perkz has Flash, has Valkyrie, has every way to escape from this.
Yeah, and he should have package in base as well, so he can save TP, or he can just run back with the package, TP back with the package, look to force something on Haru's next timer, because you need to find your team's timers. Make sure you're aligned on the same thing. Could even leave the package for now and pick it up for the next dragon. But I think they're just so far ahead right now that they can take it themselves anyway. But here it is again. Haru just walks in, double pink towards the bot side, ults over the wall, disables the tower. There's nothing Vetheo can do whatsoever.
They know he hasn't got flash, they know he doesn't have ghost, they know there's no way for him to escape because he burnt that flash earlier on. It makes it very easy for Vitality to target Vetheo, and that's something that we did wonder coming into summer if it would be a strategy teams employed against Misfits. Haru here constantly getting Vetheo out of position, making sure that he can't play the game, and yesterday it worked well for Excel as well. They totally demolished Misfits in the early game. Misfits without a kill still. And in the course of the LEC.
It was the same jungle matchup, I believe. Marcoon was on Volibear, Shlatan was on the Viego. They lost one mid-jungle 2v2, and from that point onwards, the game was basically over. Marcoon was dictating the entire pace of the map, and Misfits just did not look alive whatsoever when their jungler and mid were on the back foot. And it's kind of natural if you're mid-jungle full behind that you struggle on sides, but you have to find some kind of team play by over-investing numbers on one lane, getting a pick, and then playing from there. But look at Vitality. Perkz owns their bot-side jungler right now at 12 minutes in. If Vetheo steps up on this mid-wave,
package in, Vetheo, final chapter coming out once again. He's rooted in Perkz with the second Valkyrie. It's easy enough for Perkz and for Labrov.
I mean, what can he really do? Here comes Neon, though.
Dawning Shadow isn't enough. Perkz should just be able to walk away from this one. Haru able to walk his way back towards the tower as well.
Smart play there by Perkz, gets bot side vision, double pink, make sure he's not on vision, then just jumps across wall. I think Vetheo saw him on the entrance of red and was like, okay, he's behind me, I don't want to step up on this wave, but he probably thought he was safe in the area of his tower. He had flash, but he got rooted by the Yuumi ult, so the QR combo from Corki hit, and he got taken down. And this is another instance where your bot lane has to catch midwave as Misfits, and your jungler is farming bots. So Vitality have all the information in the world to work with, and you have no play to make either.
And they have that 3,000 gold lead now as well. Perkz is in a commanding position. 2-0-2, already got a bounty on his head.
Oh, Perkz.
39 CS up.
Oh,
yep,
as a
takes
jungle main. Oh, I hate to see that as a jungle main.
Haru doesn't mind, man. He's Volibear. He's got everything he needs.
I would be molding if I was Haru right now. Just taking my Raptors, and maybe he was going for Krugs there. He probably checked his minimap like, oh, they're not up yet. I'll go get this midwave, and then I'll go take your Krugs. And Haru's like, that's my midwave now, bro. It's the classic. Half his midwave's gone. I would have done the same. Respect to Haru. Shout out to all junglers out there. Now they're going to look for the mid tier 1. There's only 15 seconds left on the last plate. Dragon's up in 7 seconds.
Actually, Vetheo looking to come down from the bottom side of this fight. There is a little bit of vision control for Misfits. Have a few wards around here, but Haru is going to be able to spot them all out. All of Misfits grouped up down here. Alphari has the TP, needs some mana though, so he's gone back to base to try and regen. Carzzy putting some damage down as well. Here's the Alphari TP in. Call of the Forge got an option. Vitality a little bit split. Alphari by himself right now, but Alphari very tanky already. There's the Call of the Forge. God, and Misfits locked up in a choke point. Perkz looking for the damage across the wall, can't quite land it, but the final chapter will lock them all in place. Vitality advancing, charging towards Misfits. And even with that escape, Misfits lose one and will lose the dragon.
Really good TP there from Alphari, because the problem Misfits have is, do you run forwards into the rest of Vitality and get Ornn ulted from behind in a stack, or do you run towards the Ornn and get Ornn ulted in a stack? So that was a guaranteed 4-5-man ultimate there from the Ornn, follow-up from the Yuumi. And yeah, lights out from there onwards. Perkz was able to gap close. Shlatan might look for a steal here. He could flash out once he gets it.
Doesn't have the Heartbreaker, of course, so would have to burn the flash. He's dancing in around it, but the dragon will be secured by Vitality. Haru with it. And 15 minutes into the game, Caedrel. Still Misfits yet to get a kill. That means they break the record that was previously set by Excel in 2020 Summer, who got their first kill 12 minutes, 50 seconds into their second game. So one of your records has been broken, Caedrel, because of course you're on that team.
No, they're going to get a kill. Don't die, Carzzy. Make sure the record stands.
The record stands. As Misfits still without a kill, they get their first 15 minutes into their second game. Vitality denied a perfect game.
Signs of life for Misfits. A single kill. Now in that 2020 Summer game, the day 2, was it me who got that first kill?
I don't know if you got the kill.
I don't remember at all.
It was just serendipitous, because I asked when was the latest first kill for a
crazy.
team, and you were on that team.
Well, at least it's gone now. We don't have to think about it more.
Yep.
I no longer hold that record. Misfits have it set in stone now. 1 kill over to them. And
oh, you didn't even participate in the kill, mate.
Oh, great.
You were their juggler as well, right?
Oh, no, you didn't have to say that. If you heard it, did they say that in your ears just now? You didn't have to say it. You could just be like, oh, that sucks, but we'll just forget about it. Yeah, Carzzy gets locked up. I thought he was going to die to the Ignite, and then once he was fine and actually healed back up, Neon just snipes him out. I wonder if he had vision, actually, Neon. No vision on him right now. Just took a kind of guess, and then managed to take Carzzy down.
Vetheo was used in the mid lane while all of this was going on. Just now, at least, to take that tier 1. So Misfits on the board with a kill and a tower. 7-1 down, though, and that's not the end of a scoreline that you want to be on usually. As they are 5,000 gold in the hole. And Vitality, after yesterday's performance where they had that strong early game and weren't really able to snowball it, Perkz said, as you say, they weren't decisive enough. They didn't snowball the game. They didn't have as big a lead as they needed to. Well, here, 5,000 gold ahead at 17 minutes is a pretty sizable lead to have.
Definitely is. Now they're playing towards the top side of the map. I think the Yuumi's just going to sit on Perkz all game long. Look at the damage he does already.
Devour onto Vetheo. Spit him out. There's a 2-shot barrage coming in as well. Vetheo with a big shield will be fine for the moment. Irrelevant now, realizing, well, Alphari's here. I don't really want to stay underneath my tower as the rest of Vitality collapsed. Labrov diving over onto Haru. Misfits 5 players strong, while Carzzy just holds that mid lane. They all have to back away from this turret. It will be the third of the game for Vitality.
Yeah, Perkz has Muramana and Hydra at 17 minutes into the game, so one combo. 2 levels up on Vetheo as well. One combo with the Yuumi on his side. It's just going to be an instant one-shot. This Corki's only really going to get stronger, so it's not like he's ever going to fall off when he builds towards more of a pokey build. Misfits, I mean, the problem is you have to ask yourselves in Misfits' position, what's the play? Maybe we can get a bot tier 1, but the problem is if you ever send numbers towards the bot side of the map, Vitality will just play on 2 lanes and take your top tier 2, your mid tier 2. They can actually dive you under towers as well with the Volibear, so it's very hard to allocate resources when you're this far behind.
You know the noise that we keep hearing?
Yeah.
I've worked out what it is.
What is it?
They're going wee woo when Volibear presses Q.
Are they actually?
That's what they're doing. I love you guys, but come on, like, it's not even the skin for it, guys.
I thought it was when Ornn ulted.
Oh, is it Ornn ult?
No.
No, it's Volibear Q.
Oh, wait, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Okay. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. It's Silver Scrapes by Marksy all over again. Vetheo dies.
But many iterations of it throughout the entire game. There's another kill over to Vitality. Yeah, I mean, it's a really hard game for Misfits. They're going to have to find some kind of Baron steal or try to catch Vitality off guard. The problem is, this is the point in the game where you just have to say, screw it. I don't care about farm anymore. If you're like Irrelevant or you're Mersa, you just have to ignore top waves, run mid, just throw 4 numbers mid and try to kill Perkz, get a shutdown, and then from there, maybe you can do something. You can play a macro game and play for towers, but you're always going to be 1 step behind.
And you just don't have the mobility that Vitality have as well. We've already seen, you know, Stormbringer into Final Chapter. Ezreal can dash forward and have the Yuumi on top of him. Corki, with the package, can get in there as well. So Misfits need to find a pick somewhere, find a fight somewhere, but not at equal numbers to Vitality. Perkz looking for the tier 2 down here. Vetheo, perhaps looking at his 5th death of the game. Haru on the chase, powering projectile. Gets the slow, but they don't want to go.
I'm invested in this game now as well. I want to see when Volibear uses Q every time.
I think we should change the sound every time.
Change the sound.
Because just wee woo is a little bit, you know.
What's wrong with wee woo?
Wee woo is fine.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Wee woo is okay. It's irrelevant. Misfits
there
are looking for a fight.
Is there like a sound at the end when he hits someone?
Going in, Glacial Prison, Carzzy, the slow hits, Shlatan diving forward as well, Abyssal Voyage onto the backline, gets good knockup, Irrelevant still trying to do damage, but Perkz has got away. Final Chapter going out, Carzzy will be sacrificed by Vitality. Misfits do find a pick in the bottom lane.
That's more like it. Just send 5 members towards 1 lane and try to collapse on someone. In that case, Carzzy ends up falling now. They're in a 4v5. I think Vitality's going to take it.
Alphari not quite there yet. Call of the Forge God. The possibility is Irrelevant dives in. They're looking for Perkz, but they just don't have the damage.
He's alive.
Jumps away, still alive across the wall. He rattles through Misfits. Vetheo stunned. He tries to get away, but there's no escaping Haru today. Alphari dashes in and headbutts Vetheo to death.
Misfits thought they found their window, but Perkz just slams it shut in their face. It was a 4v5, but from the get-go, it was all Vitality's favor. They're gonna get the dragon as well, and you can't really blame Misfits for looking for it. It's just, yeah, Alphari collapses. He's just way too tanky for Misfits at this point in the game, and they're gonna pick up their 2nd dragon.
And because Vitality have so effectively shut down Vetheo in the mid lane, you can just go predominantly armor. If you're Alphari, you can see Frozen Heart, Frozen Fist, alongside just the Mercury Treads in terms of magic resist, but he is such a tanky boy here. Misfits look for that play. Irrelevant TPing towards the river.
Yeah, just ignoring mid waves, ignoring top waves. Irrelevant just wants to join his team, tried to punish this push out on side lane. It looked like they had Perkz for a fraction of a second. We'll keep our eyes on the Sejuani ult goes a bit wide. Maybe you could have saved that for a little bit later on in the fight. Like at a point like this, if you had the Sejuani ult, you could lock up Perkz and try to look for the kill there. So a little bit wasted at the start, but nevertheless, they get Carzzy. Shlatan able to pick up the soul, but look how much you've invested. I mean, Viktor ult down, Sejuani ult, Senna ult, no Viego ult, and now you're trying to fight a dragon. Perkz jumps over the wall, very low HP, but then he gets his full combo off over the wall as well, and Misfits get melted.
And that's the thing, if you manage the 100-0 Perkz, you can win a fight, but it's so difficult to lock him down, especially when he has a Yuumi on his shoulders. Expect Mikhail's from Labrov. Just to give that little bit of extra safety. True Shot Barrage going down here. Perkz 10 stacks on his Medjais.
Mersa panics for a second there.
Neon panicked for a second there as well. He was just to the side of it. Don't think it would have connected, but the threat that comes from an Ezreal with 2 items at 21 minutes is still pretty deadly for Neon, who is at 82 stacks. So that's scaling, slowly coming online, but feels like it might be a little bit too slow with them 7,000 gold behind right now, Caedrel.
Yeah, it's a bit copium, isn't it? I mean, but it is something. That's what you have to
prescribe it at least.
You can prescribe it?
Yep. Hopium for Vitality, copium for Misfits as Vitality start up the Baron.
Okay, I mean, Irrelevant doesn't have TP in, they're on Vision. Misfits have full information of what's going on here.
How do you approach into Call of the Forge God, though? Alphari's just going to step in. Shlatan gets behind them, not on Vision. Ward does go down with a fast alteration now. 4,000 HP on the Baron. Control Ward in. Vitality back away from it. There's the Call of the Forge God. They're looking for Mersa. Abyssal Void stop. Vetheo locked up as well as Perkz. Looks for that backline. Final Chapter. Not quite going to get the root. Mersa's already down as Vitality now continue to advance. Neon hit with a rocket in the back.
Takes 3/4 of his HP and Vitality turn back towards the Baron.
Yeah, it should be pretty free now. I don't think Misfits have anything left to try to contest it. I mean, they could look for a steal on Shlatan. Irrelevant can be the face check.
You still have Heartbreaker across the wall here for Shlatan.
Yeah.
No flash on him, but Heartbreaker in, Smite a possibility. Smites, of course, do the same amount of damage, 900 apiece, so Shlatan could do something huge for Misfits here. Is on a ward. He'll clear that out. Carzzy looking for him. Shlatan low. 3,000 HP on the Baron right now, but Vitality don't even want it. They just want to turn onto Irrelevant, and he will be made exactly that by Perkz and by Alphari. Dawning Shadow.
Perkz is down.
Carzzy 1v3ing. Irrelevant was able to pick up the kill with the Ignite, but Vitality still able to win out that fight 1-for-1 overall. True
Massive.
shot.
Massive shutdown over
Us
to
observers.
massive shutdown over to Irrelevant. How did Perkz die there? He had Ignite on him.
Yeah, it was Ignite plus Dawning Shadow, got him low, and then the Ignite ticked right at the last moment.
I see. Well, at least a kill. 900 gold. You'll take that if you're Irrelevant. Gets him towards his second item at the very least. And Vitality want to start up the Baron. It's a bit messy, I have to say. But they are getting the advantageous, coming out advantageous with the kills. Irrelevant was kind of the face check bot here for Misfits, and Shlatan's ready for the steal over the wall with wards. Haru is the one zoning them away, which is quite odd. Your jungler zoning them away when the rest of your team's doing Baron is quite an awkward situation because they know that you can't finish it, so they can walk up. At that point, Vitality just decides to full turn. Here, I think Haru and Perkz could finish it, but they decide to full turn. Irrelevant falls, and then the rest of Misfits run away. So I think Baron hits Perkz. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Just kind of throws one more shot at him and just takes him down. So it ends up in a 1-for-1, but a massive shutdown over to Misfits.
Irrelevant will use that gold to get himself a Warden's Mail. Already has the Force of Nature, but Vetheo still only sitting at 2 items, where Perkz has a fully ornamented Luden's Tempest, the Luden's Storm, the Luden's Hurricane, Typhoon.
Just hearing this, it reminds me of once I was watching, I think it was a League of Legends event, when every time a spell went off, you could hear pew. Did you remember that? I don't know what spell it was though. I'll have to try to figure it out.
They're going to start doing pews now for every Ezreal Q or something now. Like,
oh my god.
Convince them of these things.
The Corki rockets.
Oh, TP behind.
Forge God.
Alphari going with the call of the Forge God. Devour can only get onto 1, and there's the knock-up as well, and Perkz is in perfect position. Lay down the red carpet and burn your enemies upon it. Vetheo has to flash away to try and escape. Alphari not having any of it as he tries to chase him down, and with a Bellows Breath, he will meet his match. Shlatan trying to trade onto Carzzy, but just can't do enough. A double for Carzzy. Vitality clean up the fight, and they'll turn back towards the Baron.
Yeah, definitely can't end here. Maybe Perkz can stay around and just try to take this mid-tier 2. They're doing it on the Corki rockets as well, but there's going to be so...
you have to say
There's going to be so many of them though. So oh my lord. Yeah, Vitality should get Dragon as well. I think Perkz can probably go towards the bot side of the map and solo that. Of course, there's only one member on the map for Misfits, so pretty easy game. Misfits trying to get some mid push. Vitality collapse, and the second the Forge God hits, the package lands. That's just over for Misfits.
It's so easy when you have the call of the Forge God in a choke like this. Mersa can only devour 1 target. He uses it on Vetheo, and then Perkz is just like, hey guys, I have a pretty big package, and I'm just gonna jump in here. Excuse me, we ignore those. Just gonna jump in here and lay down the red carpet for you all. Vitality to clean up the fight. It's kind of to be expected. Dragon did reset while all of this was going on. Perkz will finally take it afterwards, and obviously with the Baron, they're in a very strong position to close out this game. 18 kills to 3. Misfits only 3 kills over 2 games. Looking at Mountain Soul, although still 1 Dragon needs to be taken for Vitality.
Do you know why I think they're doing it?
Why?
It's because Yuumi was picked. I think if Yuumi's picked, it's like the hidden passive of Yuumi.
I understand that.
It just unlocks the crowd buff.
It's a protest. It's a peaceful protest against Yuumi pickers.
I think it is. I think it definitely is. And
I support that.
as do I. Vitality just sieging onto the bot tier 2 here. Alphari can push in mid. Pushing mid has TP for bot in case a fight kicks off. Shlatan's looking around. Misfits, I think, are just going to have to fight eventually. I mean, Mersa's going to look for an Abyssal Voyage in if you can find it, but he comes out of the bush here. Shlatan as well on that blast, coming off towards the top side. Does have a flank position, and Alphari is still pushing mid, as you say. Does have the TP. Call of Forge got an option. Neon chunked. There's a lot of absolution stacks for him to pick up. Haru tanking here as Irrelevant goes forward. Shlatan looking for that flank position, but Perkz spots him out. Heartbreaker out, but the root comes in still. Shlatan, final auto attack from Perkz will take him out. True Shot Barrage being used as well as Irrelevant is chipped away by that. Alphari, Call of the Forge God. The rest of Vitality aren't really in the area to chase this one down, but Perkz can Valkyrie forward, and Alphari really does not give a damn. Tanks up all 4 members of Misfits for as long as he likes. The wave is pushing in. He doesn't even need it. Perkz goes back in, and Vetheo goes back to the fountain once again, joined by Mersa. They can hold hands in death.
as Vitality look to close this one out.
It's just an absolute stomp, isn't it, from Vitality from start to finish. They're going to get mid inhib, they're going to get bot inhib. I mean, there's 8 seconds on Shlatan, so it does allow some kind of 3v5 for Misfits, but I think Vitality's just going to try and end. Perkz is going to go towards their fountain and farm some DPM.
8-1-11.
He's going to die. Wait, now Shlatan's Corki! It's the Viego insurance!
Alphari now stand up as well. Labrov tries to jump back onto him. Haru coming in as well. Carzzy is still pretty strong. 2 items on this Ezreal, and he will be the one putting down the DPS. Perkz gets the int out of his system, and Vitality finally return to winning ways.
Why did Shlatan jump out of the Corki form? He could have done all the Perkz damage back to Vitality.
You don't have his ultimate, man.
Yeah, oh, true. I guess, yeah. Well, he probably used the full combo and then just ulted out. Carzzy's gonna die
as well.
More kills.
The minions are gonna do it. The minions are gonna do it. Vitality with only their 2nd ever win in a Super Week.
Very, very clean, wasn't it? Very, very clean game from
Apart
Vitality.
From the end was a little...
At the end, yeah, we don't talk about. Perkz wanted to farm a little bit of DPN on the fountain, throw some rockets out. See a little bit of discussions between the mid and jungle and Vitality. I think they're pretty happy with that. Great bounce back from yesterday.
Definitely.
Their early games look good. If they can keep consistent early games up, then that's a fantastic sign going into summer.
Definitely were able to take the lead that they generated and really run with it in this game, which is something we didn't see from them so much yesterday, and they did a very good job of hitting their scaling marks and then just being like, okay, we've got the game, we're going to take it from here. Misfits, on the other hand, of course, struggled. 2nd game in a row that they have really struggled. I think a lot of teams are saying, if we isolate Vetheo, if we shut him down in the early game, Misfits just aren't ready to deal with the rest of our players. Your key player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter, though. Alphari, Perkz, Labrov. Yeah. Those are
I mean, I would say Labrov because he went mid so much, but he's playing Yuumi.
Yeah.
So Perkz, I would say, yeah, did so much damage. I think he definitely padded his DPM stats in that one. Corki's a nice little DPM farmer. Perkz seems very happy.
Or really angry at those boomsticks. Maybe he
can't tell just yet.
They just make so much loud noise. Just one piece. Well played, everyone.
Buddy. Perkz tried to give me a high five, and then he just kind of swished back into his hair. Got a fist bump in the end.
Once again, denied by Perkz, like you were so many times.
Okay, you just had to, didn't you?
I really did. After the break, we'll have Perkz at the analyst desk. Don't you guys go anywhere.